Snow was falling thick and silent over Manhattan when Olivia Cross, the city's youngest and most unapproachable CEO, stared through her office window at the world below, a world she no longer felt a part of. The glittering lights, the laughter, the couples holding hands in the cold, all of it seemed like a distant echo of a life she once dreamed of but never had time for. To her, Christmas was just a distraction wrapped in ribbons and false cheer. But that December afternoon, fate had other plans, plans that would shatter her walls, one snowflake at a time. If you believe in kindness, in love finding a way through the coldest hearts, and in second chances that come when we least expect them, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul of Light. It helps us keep sharing stories that remind the world love still matters. Olivia had built her empire from nothing. After her mother's death and her father's bankruptcy, she had promised herself never to depend on anyone again. People, she believed, were unpredictable, and love was a luxury that could destroy everything you worked for. At 32, she was powerful, wealthy, and completely alone. Even her assistant, Jenna, whispered that Olivia's heart was as cold as the marble floors of her penthouse. On Christmas Eve morning, her friends at the boardroom dared her, half in jest, half in pity, to go on a blind date arranged through a charity event. One dinner, live, for once, stop scheduling meetings and meet a human being. They laughed. She rolled her eyes but agreed, just to prove them wrong. Fine, she said, one date, but only because I don't back down from a dare. The plan was simple. She'd show up, have coffee, be polite, and leave. But when a snowstorm swept through the city that evening, everything went off course. Her car broke down halfway through the frozen streets, her phone lost signal, and the GPS stopped working. After half an hour of walking through the swirling snow, shivering in her heels and fur coat, Olivia found herself outside a small cabin on the edge of town, warm light spilling through the windows, laughter echoing faintly from inside. She hesitated before knocking. The door opened to reveal a man in a worn sweater, his hair dusted with gray, eyes kind yet cautious. "You must be lost," he said gently. "Come in before you freeze out there." His name was Noah Whitaker, a local carpenter and widower who volunteered at the same charity event. Her blind date. Olivia blinked, trying to hide her disbelief. This was not what she expected. No suits, no champagne, no fancy restaurant. Just the smell of pine, the crackle of firewood, and a man who smiled like he'd known the world's pain, but still chose to be kind. She told herself she'd stay for 5 minutes. But the warmth of the room and of Noah's quiet presence made her forget the clock. As snow thickened outside, they talked. He spoke of his late wife, how she used to bake cookies for the neighborhood kids, how he still hung a stocking for her every Christmas. Olivia found herself confessing things she had buried for years. Her mother's illness, the nights she worked through tears, the ache of success that no one saw behind her perfect image. Noah listened without judgment, his silence comforting, his words simple but true. "You've built a life for everyone's approval," he said softly, "but who's building a life for you?" Something inside her cracked then, something she didn't know she'd been holding together for years. The clock struck midnight. The world outside glowed white, untouched. Noah made her tea, and they sat by the fire, sharing stories that felt like healing. Olivia realized that for the first time in years she wasn't pretending to be strong. She was just human. When she finally stood to leave, the snow had stopped. Noah offered to walk her to the main road, but she shook her head. "You already gave me something better than directions," she said. "You gave me peace." He smiled, but there was a sadness in his eyes. Maybe that's what Christmas is meant to do, remind us that we're never as alone as we think. The following morning, Olivia's driver found her walking back into the city, boots covered in snow, a soft smile on her face. Her employees noticed it first, her voice gentler, her tone warmer. She sent Christmas bonuses early that year, personally delivered a few gifts, and even closed the office for a week. When Jenna asked why, Olivia simply said, because kindness shouldn't need a calendar. Days passed, but Olivia couldn't stop thinking about Noah, his cabin, his quiet laughter, the way he had looked at her, not like the CEO of Cross Enterprises, but like a woman who still had a heart worth saving. On New Year's Eve, she drove back to the edge of town, only to find the cabin lights off. She panicked for a moment before noticing a note pinned to the door. I figured the CEO wouldn't come back, but if she does, there's coffee inside and maybe a second chance too. She laughed through tears. She stepped inside, the warmth wrapping around her like home, and found Noah by the fire. "You came back," he said softly. "I didn't think you would." Olivia took a breath and smiled. "Neither did I, but maybe it's time I stopped running from what I actually need." That night the two sat again by the same fire, the storm outside replaced by quiet peace. They didn't need words, just the comfort of knowing that sometimes love doesn't arrive with grand gestures, but through small acts of grace, in moments when the world is still and the snow falls softly. And for Olivia, that Christmas wasn't about gifts or dares or pride anymore. It was about rediscovering her heart, buried for too long beneath ambition and fear. It was about the man who taught her that love, when it's real, doesn't ask you to change. It simply waits until you're ready to feel again. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that miracles still happen when you least expect them, please like, share, and subscribe to Soul of Light. Every click helps us keep spreading stories of hope and healing. Special request, comment below "Love finds a way, even through the snow," if you believe in second chances and the magic of Christmas. And somewhere, under a quiet winter sky, two people who once thought love was a joke sat side by side, proving that sometimes all it takes is a dare, a storm, and a little light in the dark to find your way home again.